everyone, welcome to Health Promotion's Wellness Wednesday Tip. I'm Alicia Perry, Manager of Health Promotion at 19 Comox, and this is Boots. For today's tip, we're going to talk about my favorite summer popsicle recipe. I'm going to show you how to make a creamy watermelon popsicle, as well as a cherry coconut creamsicle. If you're wondering what to do with that jarred watermelon that you bought, this is a great option to not let it go to waste. You can also sub out other fruits and add those in if you don't have watermelon or cherries on hand. The Canadian Food Guide recommends cooking more often at home and involving your family in cooking, so this is a great option to get your kids and family involved. So by making your own popsicles at home, you can control exactly what goes in them, and if you have any dietary requirements, this vegan, lactose-free option won't disappoint. The hardest part about this recipe is just waiting for the popsicles to freeze. The popsicle molds that I'm using are probably circa 1990 from Tupperware. If you don't have Tupperware molds at home, there's lots available in stores or online. You can also use Dixie cups with popsicle sticks as well. And I'll also show you how to quickly pit cherries with a cherry pitter. Not something that's necessary, but a good little handy tool to have if you have a lot of cherries. For the creamy watermelon popsicles, I'm using 3 cups of watermelon, half a cup of plain Greek yogurt, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 teaspoon of maple syrup, or you could use honey. Mint is optional. I love the flavor of mint, but it's not necessarily for everyone, so you can throw that in if you like it. To start, I cube up my watermelon into pieces that will fit into a food processor. You could also use a magic bullet or a blender. I start by blending 3 cups of watermelon, half a cup of the Greek yogurt, 1 teaspoon of vanilla because I'm using plain Greek yogurt that is unflavored. I'm choosing to sweeten it with 1 teaspoon of maple syrup. You could use honey, really depends on the sweetness of the watermelon. And there's that optional mint if you like the flavor of mint. Once it's all blended nice and smoothly, I then pour it into the popsicle molds and throw it into the freezer for a few hours. If you don't have popsicle molds, as mentioned, you can use Dixie cups with popsicle sticks. To help get the popsicles out of the mold once they're ready, I just run it under lukewarm water to help loosen the popsicles from the mold. So next up is the cherry coconut creamsicle recipe. For this recipe, I use 2 cups of pitted cherries, 1 can of unsweetened coconut milk, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and because I'm using the unsweetened coconut milk, to add some sweetness, I add 2 teaspoons of maple syrup, or you could use honey. If you're often cooking with cherries and you're using the good old-fashioned knife depitting method and you want to speed up the process, a cherry pitter might be something you look to invest in. Depending on the type of cherry depitter you get, for this one it takes 4 cherries. Pick the cherries based on their size, put them in the slot, push the top down, and it basically pushes the cherry pits out, saving you some time. So now that all the pits are removed, I toss into the food processor 2 cups of cherries, 1 can of coconut milk, you can see it's nice and creamy, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and for some extra sweetness, I toss in 2 teaspoons of maple syrup. Just like the watermelon popsicle recipe, once it's blended nice and smoothly, I pour it into popsicle molds and throw it in the freezer for a few hours. If you run out of popsicle molds, you can pour the rest of it into ice cube trays. You can pop these out of the freezer, blend them up again, and add them to popsicle molds. Or I like to throw a couple of these frozen cubes into my favorite smoothie recipe. Hope you enjoyed the summer recipe. If you have any of your own recipes, we'd love to hear at Health Promotion. And we'll see you next time for Health Promotion's Wellness Wednesday Tip.